Top five.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the countdown. We're ranking the top 5 best defensive players in football going into 2023.
We got 5 headhunters on this list for y'all, and we're back, but we're never off track. Make sure to smack that like button hammer that subscribe button.
Hammer it.
Because we're coming back every single goddamn week.
That's right, and we're back this time with the best defensive players in football. We see the offense getting a lot of shine, but we're talking defense this time. And like we said, this isn't about what they did just in 2022. It's about overall track record entering this next year. So with that being said, this video is sponsored by Fan Gear Nation. You can get great jerseys at a great price, support your squad, and look great doing it. But getting into the countdown, we're starting out with number 5. We're talking about the Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa. Crazy how at the bottom of our ranking list, we got the best player in this past year. But that's exactly what Nick Bosa was. He took his game to another level, led the league in sacks, anchored the number 1 defense in football, and really put himself on the map above his own brother and really entered that upper echelon of edge rushers and really proved himself to be one of the best quarterback headhunters in the league.
Yeah, them Bosa brothers are a problem. Like you said, Rob, led the league in sacks this past season on the number 1 defense in the NFL. We can't help but to show him love. Joey Bosa is an issue. He can do it with power. He can do it with speed. Nick Bosa, fuck Joey Bosa. Nick Bosa, my fault, Joey. Nick Bosa, he can beat you with power. He can beat you with speed. He can do it all, and we've really seen him touch another level this year. We knew the type of prospect he was coming out of Ohio State, and now we know for sure he's one of the best defensive players in the NFL.
Absolutely. That man is a problem. Just like number 4, we're talking about Dallas Cowboys edge rusher Micah Parsons. This guy might be as versatile as any player on this list. He can do it at the linebacker position. He can do it at the defensive end position. Sometimes they line him up at fucking tackle, and he still finds his way into the backfield. He can really do it all with his athleticism. He's just able to get in the backfield any means possible, makes plays all over the field. And I think if you were going to start a franchise today, if you could pick one player on that side of the ball, you're taking Micah Parsons because of what he can do in every facet. And he really brings so much to a defense in today's game.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a problem. Coming into the league, we were like, is he going to be an off-ball linebacker? He's going to be on the defensive line. I remember DeMarcus Lawrence went down. They put him at edge, and they said, whoa, we got something special. We can't take this kid off the edge position. And like you said, Rob, it doesn't matter where they put him, linebacker, edge. Even in some pass situations, they'll put him at D-tackle and have him stunning around. This kid is the ultimate problem in the NFL. Not only is it about to be his 3rd season in the league, but he's been fighting for a case to win Defensive Player of the Year his rookie and his sophomore year in the NFL. Micah Parsons, an issue. Dallas Cowboys clearly got themselves a big time player.
Exactly. He's probably the most likely guy to catapult up into that top tier on this list going forward, but he hasn't earned that spot yet because the guy above him is Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns. What a physical specimen this guy is. Coming out of school, we knew right away he was going to be different than a lot of players in this league, and he proved everyone right. Just the way that he's able to get to the passer, get around blindside blockers, and just make moves. And the fact that he's doing it without a lot of help on that defensive line, that's the biggest thing that sticks out to me. Is a lot of these guys, you know, they have a partner in crime. They might have 2 guys that they can rely on to at least allow them to get some snaps where they're not getting double teamed. Myles Garrett's getting double teamed pretty much every fucking snap, and he's still finding ways to make impacts on the game, and it's why he's also a perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate, because what he can do at that position on the right end spot, you just know you're going to get production no matter what the offensive game plan is, and he's just able to make moves no matter what they throw at him, no matter if they're running at him, if they're sending 2 guys at him. He's going to get in the backfield. He's going to make a statement, and that's why he's number 3 on this list.
Myles Garrett is a mammoth human being. When I think about a number 1 pick, I want him to look exactly like Myles Garrett.
No doubt.
Like you said, Rob, Myles Garrett gets chipped a lot. He gets bushed up on a lot, double teamed throughout the whole entire game because they don't really have anybody else that's truly a threat on that defensive line. Jadeveon Clowney not getting the job done anymore. He's out of there anyways. And just Myles Garrett, year after year after year, just keeps seeing upticks in his production, surprisingly. He just can't be blocked. Whether it's the run game, the pass game, Myles Garrett is probably the most well-rounded edge player in this league when you talk about stopping the run and getting after the passer. big time amount of pressures. If he really had that second player or that running mate, a lot of those pressures would turn into actual sacks. So I think he led the league in pressures maybe this past year. Don't quote me on that, but he's very easily a candidate to lead the league in sacks next year.
Yeah, if he's not leading it, he's definitely up there because he is a very productive player. Very similar to number 2, who tied the NFL record in sacks. We're talking T.J. Watt, Brandon.
T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt went number 32 in that draft. But T.J. Watt went number 30 in that draft. One of the two. And Myles Garrett went number 1. So crazy that they're on rival teams. One player went number 1. One player went at the end of the first round. And yet T.J. Watt is the better player than Myles Garrett up to this point in his career. And we think that's going to continue for the next couple years at the least. The problem with T.J. Watt is T.J. Watt gets picks. He just makes plays no matter what the circumstances. We look at the stat every single year. Games that T.J. Watt does not play in, the Pittsburgh Steelers don't win shit. They can't win without him.
He's a difference maker.
This past year was another situation. They were struggling. I think they won like 1 game without him and 2 games without him this past year. I think he missed like 6 or 7. He comes back. They win 7 out of the last 8 games of the year. You talk about a defensive player of the year. Yeah, you talk about a person that should be at the top of the list of one of the best defensive players in the league. That stat definitely has to weigh into it, especially when you're getting picks, when you're getting sacks, when you're getting strip sacks, when you're just doing everything, stopping plays in the backfield, TFLs. This guy is the full package. And despite everybody else on this list, T.J. Watt doesn't look as good as them physically. He might not have the tools, he might not have the speed, he might not have the dip, he might not have any of that, but his relentless effort and motor and just he's the best football player on this list. That's why he makes plays. It's not based off his body type or anything like that. He finds ways to make plays, and that's what's just so very impressive about him.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. When you think about the players on this list, Nick Bosa, athlete. Micah Parsons, athlete. Myles Garrett, physical specimen. T.J. Watt's not necessarily at that same level, but he is a damn good football player, and he just makes plays all over the field, getting interceptions, swatting the ball at the line of scrimmage, tackles for losses, you name it, he's doing it. And when you factor in the win part of the game, like usually that's reserved for quarterbacks. Like if the backup quarterback comes in, there's usually a pretty big discrepancy between the team winning and losing. T.J. Watt's in that same level. When you look at the wins with him and you look at the losses without him, it's a big difference, and that's the kind of impact that he has on the game because he is pretty much the quarterback of the Steelers defense at this point, and especially when you're talking about the Steelers defense, the steel curtain, the history behind that franchise on that side of the ball specifically. He's that guy now. He's the face of their franchise, and he's really proving that he is one of the best defensive players to the point where pretty much his 2023 season was halfway cut off, but he's still number 2 at this list because how can you put someone over him when T.J. Watt has the track record that it was just domination year after year? I think if you go back over the last 5 years, he has the most sacks. You go back over the last 4 years, he has the most sacks. You go back over the last 3 years, he has the most sacks. And it's just exactly, and it's just crazy because he's doing it year after year. So 1 year that was kind of derailed by injuries, we're going to let that slide because he could come back and be the same monster and still be in that DPOY conversation.
Absolutely.
And so moving into number 1, the only guy who has a track record better than T.J. Watt, it's the future first ballot Hall of Famer. It's Aaron Donald. Playing out in L.A., he got the ring. He's got the Defensive Players of the Year, 3 of them. The All-Pros, the Pro Bowls, the resume is stacked, and it's because this guy's a different level of player. When you look at what he does in the middle of the defensive line, it's unlike any player we've seen in the history of the game. When you think about him being at his height of 6 foot, having the pad level advantage, and he takes advantage of it. And it's not because of his size that he's successful. It's not because of his athleticism that he's successful. It's because of everything that he does from a practice standpoint. From you see his off-season workouts, you see the preparation he puts in, you see the game plan strategies that he knows how to beat different offensive linemen, and he has the whole package, and he's able to do it in a lot of different ways. And he's the anchor of a Rams defense that, like we said, won the Super Bowl and is continuously being one of the better defenses. And we saw what they looked like without him, and it wasn't looking good. And so just like T.J. Watt, just because he got hurt this past year and didn't have that all-pro caliber season that some of the other players had on this list, you look at what he's done before that. He's still young enough to have a lot of success in this league. And is anyone really going to pick against Aaron Donald? I mean, come on.
Yeah. On most enticing list, you're not going to see a D tackle at number 1. But Aaron Donald is a dominant poetic figure. When I'm talking about poetic, I'm talking about this man's taking on double teams and making it look easy. Like swiping hands, dominating, choking people out, slamming people. He doesn't give a fuck. And what you guys have to understand about edges compared to D tackles is edges get chipped. You know, they might get a quick tight end double team stalled release or something along those lines. Aaron Donald is getting double teamed by guards and centers the entire game.
Triple
teams, yeah, because no teams have a choice. And another reason why D tackle is such an important position, and it might be one of the most important positions on the defense, is because you can not only stop the run, but your ability to impact the pass game as well is monumental. You think about Aaron Rodgers, you think about Aaron Donald taking double teams and what that does for the other D tackle, what that does for the edge next to him, what that might do for the edge on the other side.
Helps everyone out.
He's occupying so many bodies, and it's letting people like Bobby Wagner run free and make easy-ass plays. Aaron Donald is the most disruptive player in the NFL. I don't care what position he plays, even though we have all 5 people on this list, defensive line and edge. It's all for a reason, because these are the most show-stopping, biggest differential making players to the outcome of a game than anybody in the NFL. Aaron Donald is really that guy, one of the best football players I've ever seen. No question.
Definitely the best defensive player I've ever seen. And you make a great point. Like, everyone on this list plays on the defensive line, plays on the edge. You know, we wanted to add a linebacker, we wanted to add a cornerback, a safety, but you really just can't put them over the guys we have on this list, because what they do on the line of scrimmage just changes the outcome of games more than anyone else, and they are impact players we're talking about, whether they had so much success this year, whether they've had success in recent years. Entering 2023, these are the top 5 defensive players in football, and you can go and make your own rankings at prosportsoutlook.com. You can go to the link on the screen, create your own rankings, put them in whatever order you think is best, because it's going to be interesting to see what the fans think of this one.
Absolutely. We got a lot of young guys on this list. Outside of Aaron Donald, I think everybody on this list is 28 and under.
Right.
TJ being 28, Myles Garrett being 27, just entering their primes. So the guys on this list, they're here to stay. And just like them, we're here to stay.
No doubt.
So make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe. We'll be dropping again next week, of course.
Absolutely. And this video is sponsored by Fan Gear Nation. Shout out to them, giving people great jerseys at a great price. You can get those at the link in the description. And we will see you next time for another great episode of The Countdown.
Let's get it.